So you're separating, has to be different, can be the same, has to be mixed. Mixed could also be stuck together, can also be very close to each other, like you have a platter of a bunch of cold cuts or whatever, different types, all very close to each other, so it's perceived as one unit. That's we have the malacha of separating in Shabbos. Now, we know you're allowed to take the good from the bad. So, later there's an exception to other malachas where we say if this is the malacha, usually if this is a malacha, you can't do it. Here we're saying that even though you are going to be separating, the Chachamim say you're allowed to take the good from the bad because this is not called a malacha, this is called derech achila, the way of eating. So we already went into a lot of examples in the last class. We're just moving on. So I want to put, so what are the rules to be allowed to separate? So we said in the last class, there are situations when you're allowed to, quote unquote, separate. I'm saying quote unquote because many times when you separate, you're not really separating. So for example, if you have different, we gave an example, you have carrot sticks. Kind of a bunch of carrot sticks, right? So you have the big pieces, you have the small pieces, and it doesn't look nice. So when you take out the small pieces, you don't like the way it's mixed, it doesn't look good. So you want to take out the smaller pieces, and let's say you're going to throw it out. Okay, you're not supposed to throw it full. Let's say the worst scenario, they're throwing it out. So it's like waste. That's allowed to be done on Shabbos because it's not separating. Because even though you call it separating, but it's not separating. It's 100% permitted. We're not discussing the aspect of wasting fun. I'm just giving that example to bring out that even though you want to call it waste, doesn't matter. It's not considered two separate items. So therefore, if someone's going to do that on Shabbos, it's permitted and it's 100% permitted. There's no conditions involved. Oh, it's permitted if there's no conditions because it's not in the category of separating. It has to be two different items. It's not different, it's the same. It's a different size. The size does not make it a different item. Sometimes size could make it a different item. We'll talk about it. But when it comes to food, it has the same taste. Just the kids are very particular about different sizes. It doesn't, but in theory, maybe you can argue that for little children, because the size makes such a big difference. I haven't seen anyone who mentions it, but the simple halacha is it's same food, it's the same exact taste. It's one food, it's not separate. Yeah, you want to add something?
That also applies if like you made a tray of food and like part of it is burned,
A tray of?
like some sort of like vegetable, part of the vegetables are burned, you can separate out the burnt ones.
Very good. So that's in story. When you have vegetables, or let's say a cluster of grapes, anything like that, and part of it is burned, part of it is spoiled, that's a different story. Because part of it is still edible, but it's a different quality. It's already inferior. It's not something that's, everything is, relative to the situation. If it's just maybe just a drop burn, maybe the same thing. But you're talking about that it's significantly burned, significantly inferior quality, so it's slightly spoiled. Then it comes to different items. Then it becomes an issue. Then it's called separating, which will be permitted under the condition. Someone else had a question, right?
Yeah. Let's say you have like one of those like plastic tablecloths that you're gonna get rid of all the trash and you see inside of it like a knife, a real knife. You take it out. That's good from the. I literally had that example. That's why.
So the thing is, it's a good question. It is brought down that when you have big items, I'm just saying in general, not answering the question right away, but just giving perspective. When you have big items in liquid, it's not called a mixture. Let's say I take out matzo balls from soup. There's matzo balls in the soup. I don't want the matzo balls. I'm taking out. Yeah, you take out the bag, right? Is that called separating? So it's brought down, it's not. Why? Because it's a big item. And with liquid, it's not perceived as one unit. It's looked upon like two separate items. The idea of separating when it's perceived as a mixture. So a knife, so I'm saying, right, so we have a knife, the knife is big in the garbage and it's not necessarily. Let's give another example, just because if you have, let's say, big items and small items, let's say you have peaches and blueberries mixed together. Yeah, peaches and blueberries, peaches and strawberries. Big, small. Is that perceived as a unit? Is that called a mixture when we're separating it? So the Alter Rebbe says it's questionable. The Alter Rebbe says it's a doubt, and it's considered a mixture. So it is two separate items, obviously, but is it called a mixture? Is it called mixed together? You say technically it's mixed. Why should it not be separated? It's two separate items, it's mixed together. But if the way it's mixed, it's yeah. Peaches are big, the blueberries are small. It's not necessarily a mixture because the peaches stand out, right? It's very distinguishable. So what is the Alter Rebbe saying? The Alter Rebbe says there's a suffix. The Rebbe says there's a doubt. We don't know if it's called separating or not. And therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, when we're dealing with a biblical prohibition, it should be strict. I just want to show you that in many situations where it's not clear, not only clear to us, even to the giants, they're saying it's not clear. But once someone met me years ago, we were talking about when I teach halacha, so then we saw my blade said, "Oh, bladed is very complex." It's true, because bladed, there's a lot of situations with bladed. Even after you look through all the commentaries and everything, certain things are just not very clear. So going back to the question, the garbage, the knife, you want to pull out the knife, right? So is it called a mixture? It could be, it's hard to know what's in there. You take what you want the knife. Hard to say for sure, but my hunch is that it's not separating. I have to think about it more. I would say just take it out, rinse it, and use it for something. But I don't think. I have to think about it. To me, it doesn't make sense that it's called separating. And again, it could be also the way, like the examples we brought before, the way it's sitting in there, the big knife and sitting amongst, it's probably very distinguishable. Yeah, paper plates, a plastic cup, and you have a knife sitting next to it. You have to understand that mixtures, when it comes to, we gave an example the other day. If you, let's say, it's brought down, so let's say you have, let's say you have peaches and plums in one bowl. That could be called a mixture. But we only have 4 of them, 2 peaches, 2 plums, and they're all mixed. It's not necessarily called a mixture. It's not perceived as a mixture. It's like there's so few and it's so big. So when you have usually in a garbage can, a knife falls in, it's very distinguishable because what's around the plastic plate and the plastic cup and some other things that pits and whatever. It's not like it sticks out very much. I don't think it's going to be perceived necessarily as a mixture. I can't say for sure. It depends what it looks like. So, okay. Yeah.
So what the example of the burn was
Right. So that would be called a mixture. So,
not the conditions.
right. So,
Stated earlier.
right. So what I'm saying exactly. I'm saying right. So saying, but over there you have a situation of beta. I mean, if you take out the burned pieces, the small pieces, you are separating. Now, separating could be permitted if you have the 3 conditions. The first one is that you're going to use the halachic language. Eichel mitoich service, the food from waste. Food over here does not necessarily mean food because separating is not only by food. So this could be like a euphemism for something that's desirable. A service waste is a euphemism for, actually, it's like euphemism, not the right word, whatever. But it's a general, it's a terminology being used, but undesirable. Usually, food is desirable. It's not desirable. Desirable from undesirable. The second condition is, what's the second one? Has to be stomach, lahila, close to the time of eating. Or close to the time of use, because it could be by other things too, not only by food. The dent has to be beyond, has to be by hand. Which could also mean a ladle, spoons that are using so you don't get dirty, yeah. Okay, you wanted to ask something? Right, oh, so, right, so this answers your question, right?
What if we separate?
Right, so if you take away the burnt, huh?
You have these three conditions, and you take away what you want, what's desirable to you at the time of eating.
That is okay, right, and it's also okay. And we said there are exceptions, they can even take the undesirable, like peeling an orange. Because that's already included in this, because that's how you get to the food, right? That's, you can't get to the food the way it's now. So this is the normal way of doing it. Then you take the waste, the peel of the orange. So that's fine. It's not, that's still considered in this condition.
It's fine, but would it be better to cut it with a knife? Separate
No,
it?
so we discussed it because it's not necessary, being that, right, you can't get to the food, and this is the way it's eating. So the way it's now, this is how you get to it. And this is the normal way of doing it. So this is falls into the category of taking good from bad, because that's once they did good from bad, because he said this is how you eat. It's not a loch, it's the derech hachil, the way of eating. This is how you eat an orange. It's the normal way. Peel the orange. So it's fine. So you only need the other two conditions.
Ever had time to look up for literally like tablecloth that has to be a week a day? Remember when we
Right. I thought about it. I'll double check. I thought about it later, and from what I've seen, it's if it's not a windy day, it's not a problem. I don't think it's a problem. I'm 99.9. The notion of chocolate is when you spit into the wind. Now today we speak about the luck of spitting. And winnowing, we said if you spit into the wind. So conscious, if there's no wind, I don't see any problem. Okay. So. Using a peeler. Could you use a peeler on Shabbos? What do we do? Want to peel a, what do you want to peel? And we'll give you an example.
Apple.
What about apple? What other examples want to use? Mango? What else you want to peel? What?
That's a good
Mhm.
cucumber, yeah.
Cucumber. Okay,
Potato.
now, one of the conditions is to be beyond, has to be by hand. Now, using a peeler, and a peeler is also a specialized utensil. Now, by the way, even though you're not allowed to take, they're saying that if you're using, now, specialized utensil is more serious than a regular utensil, because it makes the transgression more serious. Notice, we said you can't use a calis, be by hand. If you use a specialized utensil for separating, that's even a more severe category. That's separating by the Torah, using a specialized utensil for separating. Now, here you're using a peeler. A peeler is a specialized utensil. That would seem to make it more serious, because a special utensil for separating. Question is, could I use a peeler on Shabbos to separate? To peel, what do you want to peel? Mango, right?
But it's one.
So,
option.
what?
You-
Mango is 1 unit?
It has the peel.
There's some, I would say.
In the
one
country,
thing.
what did you describe the definition of a mixture is when it's perceived as 1 unit. So in the country, the mango is 1 unit and it's stuck, you are separating the back and the good. So could you peel a mango? Bottom line, with the peeler.
No.
If I'm gonna eat it right away,
Yeah,
How else do you peel
I don't
something?
know.
No.
No, you don't have the third condition. You
has to
need
be by hand.
to peel it with a knife or something, not
I
specialized
could use a knife.
thing, okay?
Could you use a knife now?
Yeah. Because that's kind of like an enhanced nail, like if I were to peel a mango with my fingers or something, that I don't want to get dirty, mangoes are really messy. So,
Yeah,
like,
Okay, good. Could you use a knife to peel a mango on Shabbos?
Like the soup condition, you wouldn't use your hand to scoop soup out so you
Right.
don't get burned or dirty, so same thing with a knife.
Right, so you're using the knife is not necessarily to assist you in the separation, but just to help you, you use your finger, it's gonna be very difficult. So when is it called using a cane to separate, which is not allowed, when you're using it to assist in the separation of the two. The knife is not to help you separate it, but just to make it easier for you to get the peel off. So you could use a knife, but not a peeler, because a peeler is a designated utensil, and a peeler cannot be used for mango on Shabbos. Got it?
People just don't use peelers.
Huh?
People don't use peelers.
I said you can't use a peeler for a mango.
Correct.
I did, okay. Wait, one thing at a time. Now a cucumber. A cucumber is a little tricky. What's tricky about a cucumber?
Don't eat.
Because the cucumber, the peels are edible. But the top parts, but the edges, I don't think it's, no one eats that, right? But the top. Which means that, the peel, you could peel a cucumber with a peeler, but not the part that's not edible, you can't use a peeler. Now, why could you use a peeler for most of the cucumber? Because if the peels are edible, so it's like part of the food. The definition of separating is when it's separating two different items. Being that the peeler is edible, it's considered like part of the same food, even though it's different, but unluckily it comes out that it's considered like the same food, which means you could use a peeler to peel the cucumber, but you really can't use it, it's not so practical the way I'm explaining it, but I'm just explaining halacha. Means you want to peel the cucumber, but you can't peel the top part that's bitter, you know, that you're not gonna eat, then you can't use a peeler because now you're separating something that people don't eat. They're using a specialized utensil. So bottom line is use a knife for peeler, that's the best thing.
You just cut that off.
Like a knife?
Yeah.
Yeah, a knife is fine. Again, you always have to keep in mind, when we say it's okay, we're analyzing this condition. You still need to have this condition. Okay, this falls off because we said like peeling the orange, you don't need this condition. Because you could peel, you know, but you always need to have this condition close to the time of eating. Got it? Now, clear?
No,
Is it-
wait, I'm just like trying to summarize what you said, so like the peel is edible, that's why it's.
Because the peel is edible, so it's considered part of the foods. So it's not called separating two different items, it's considered part of the same item, it's one food. Because people do eat it. There are people that are strict.
So it's just the pieces that people do not consume, that the ends that you're saying. would
That's
be
called
considered
separating,
separate. If you were to do that with the peeler, that wouldn't be allowed.
then you wouldn't be allowed. With a knife, it
Go
would,
chop, chop, and
right,
eat,
with a knife, it would be allowed. Right, but you have to have the condition that someone can feel close to the time of eating.
Right.
Now peeling an apple, you peel an apple on Shabbos,
It feels edible, similar
But-
to cucumber.
peel is edible. You can peel an apple. No problem using a peeler. A lot of people think that you're not allowed and they're strict, but according to halacha, a peeler is okay for an apple. Not a problem, because the skin is edible.
And you also don't use that on top where the parts that you don't eat.
Correct. That's why it's
Don't
okay.
use the top, bottom, the middle.
You don't use the peeler for that. Now, if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you would be using a utensil that's designated for separating when it's not allowed. So this hypothetical, so you can understand a little more about the halacha. Let's say you had a peeler, that this peeler is for peeling potatoes. So now it's a peeler that's designated for separating, which is prohibited, peeling potatoes. And you're gonna use that to peel apples. Again, it's hypothetical, it's not, it doesn't make sense. But I'm trying to think you should understand that if a peeler is designated for separating, then you can't use it on Shabbos at all. Then you wouldn't be allowed to use it for an apple too. No. Sorry. I'm correcting myself, made a mistake. No, you won't be allowed. Because apple is not separating.
You will?
Yeah, you will. I take it back. Because, you understand why I'm correcting myself?
Yeah.
Because the peeler is edible. You're not separating. You can never use a designated utensil for separating. But here you're not separating. Because you're not separating, you're not doing anything, so it's okay.
So we said you know, it would not be probably allowed to use, have you ever seen those things specifically to cut an apple, cut it like?
Apple
cutting-
core.
Yeah, you
apple
could use
core.
that, right?
So could you use an app? Good question. What about an apple core? Everyone knows apple core is you stick it through the apple and make it 4 parts. First you peel it. Are you allowed? Let's all, let's have
Are you
anyone.
separating the middle?
No.
Like,
You say no. Who
Middle.
said, okay, any other, we got other opinions.
Cause the seeds in the middle,
What do you say?
then a
Does
big
anyone else say? Yes, no?
You don't need that.
But it's not. But I would
It's
say the
dedicated
whole apple
utensil.
is a unit, the inside and the outside, right? And that's why. And the peeler.
you can use a peeler to peel the part of the cucumber that you can't. That people don't use, so I.
But there's still like apple that can be edible around, like that you take out with it.
Is that,
Yeah.
Very good, very
The
good.
apple in the middle.
Exactly.
so is that like?
Exactly. Yes, you can eat it.
Yeah.
You can eat around it. You can eat it. You can eat it or eat around it. It depends. Sometimes people.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, not everyone wants to put up with it, but
So you're allowed to do that.
yeah,
You don't see them.
right. So when you are separating, give me another example. We spoke about take out the seeds from the watermelon, right? You can't take seeds from the watermelon, but there is a way to take out seeds. No. Not so. It's not so practical. It's practical. It doesn't accomplish much, but if you take the seed with some of the melon. If they have a few seeds left on a piece of cantaloupe, you can't take the seeds off. But if you take the seed together with a piece of the cantaloupe, now you're not taking the bad and the good, you're taking the good from the good. So the apple core, what is it doing? You're separating apple from apple. It's apple, so it's okay.
A quick cantaloupe example, like if you cut it in half and you have 2 halves and want to take the seeds out. So with that, you can take a spoon and scoop out some of the good, honestly, the best part in the middle. And get the seeds also, correct?
Right? Scoop out, get the seeds out, also, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, but you're also getting like some of the actual melon.
Why? Why to get out the melon?
Well, not all of it, just like some of it with that condition, or you not have to.
Oh, so we spoke about, who remembers when we spoke last week about the cantaloupe, how we cut it out? Now we
Yeah.
scoop it out.
The first.
Just like you're allowed to peel an orange with the conditions that we discussed. So too, when you cut up a cantaloupe, it's the same thing. That layer of seeds is like peeling an orange. That's the way to get to the food. So if you take it out in one scoop, the whole thing, that's okay. You don't need to take melon with it.
Thank you.
But when you have a piece of a cantaloupe, you slice it already served to you, then there's some seeds left on it. Now those seeds you can't take off. But if you take it with a slice of the cantaloupe, then it's okay.
I just want to clarify the salmon question I asked last week.
The salmon.
Yeah, with the seeds and the salmon, basically.
Oh, you have the seeds. Oh, you have the layer of seeds on the salmon.
Right, but you said that it's
It
technically
reminded
one
me of the
thing,
details. You don't want the seeds.
that's technically one thing, but
You want to take all the seed. People eat the seeds, but you don't want it. Let's
Yeah.
say so. You want to take the whole layer of the seeds off.
put it on with bread.
Okay, what is? Get
If
clear what you're
She's allergic.
thinking, because you said a few times, it's like one thing. You're like one thing that it's
Like,
trying to bring out that it is an issue, it's not an issue.
I'm just wondering if I wanna be like blunt here and I'm like concerned that maybe it is 2 different things, that I should
It
just
is,
that fail.
what, I said it's one thing, it's 2 different things.
It
It's,
is 2 different things.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said it was 1 different thing.
it's like, what? I said, you thought I said it's one thing, and therefore it's okay or not okay?
Therefore, it's okay.
Is that good?
I thought you said it was like, oh, it's things that they want to think, you know, not separate.
Maybe there's some
I
other,
don't think
maybe
you
there's
can,
other
like,
detail that you
Eat
mentioned.
around it or something. No, but you can't, 'cause it's all whole layer. It's not like.
Yeah.
Well,
that
either
much.
way, if you're taking out the whole, the top, like, if you're taking out the feet, you're still taking some pairs with it.
Are you?
Yeah.
Kinda, you can't really individually, like.
You think, if it's, depends how significant it is. Bottom line is, if it's covering completely, and you don't like it, you take it off. So that's the definition of separating. Two different items, mixed can also mean stuck together.
Okay,
So if you take
so
it off,
it is,
yeah, you are separating it.
so I would need to use the hat
So-
taken off like underneath the.
Well, if you're going, are you ready to eat now?
Yeah,
So you have the condition, so mechachila, close to the time of eating. You don't need this condition, like peeling an orange. You peel an orange, but it has to be close to the time of eating. So if you're ready to eat now, there's no problem. Well, so it is technically separating, but because you're going to eat now, it's okay. But if you're not going to eat, then it's a problem.
Okay.
Got it? So you have a fly falls into your soup, let's say, when you drink, and you want to take out the fly. So how do you take out the fly? So it says that you take a spoon and you scoop out the fly together with some liquid. Like we just said, if you take it together with food, it's not separating. So it says you take it with some liquid with a spoon, and that's okay. Got it? But I said this is what it says in Shulchan Aruch. But the story, that's not what the story ends. Down to that, but later on in the Siddur, the different halachas can change. We thought over later years, and went through more, thoroughly and changed different halachas. Oh, but when it came to this halacha, he changed it. He's much stricter on this. He says one should not do such a thing. One should not take with a spoon. How come? He's not being strict on the whole halacha that we said before. Whatever we said before stays the way it is. They can take with a spoon. They can cut. You can cut with a knife the seeds and take more of the cantaloupe. But over here, the issue is because what are you doing with the liquid? When you take with a spoon the fly or the dirt that's fell in, what's happening to it? It's going to the garbage. Not only it's going to the garbage, not because it actually goes, because that's what people do. People don't want to drink that. It's not because,
what if you would drink?
if someone will take, let's say someone will take the seeds off, will take the cantaloupe with a knife, the seeds with a piece of the cantaloupe, which we said is okay, and then they would throw it into the garbage. It's going to be not okay because you throw it into the garbage. It would still be okay because the piece of cantaloupe is edible. Because you threw it out, so what? Over here it's different. When you take out with a spoon a fly, some liquid inside, people throw out the whole thing, and no one wants to know. One is like looking to get this and drink. No, it's disgusting. It's a tiny little spoon with a fly in it. It's all going into the garbage. Therefore, the Alter Rebbe says you should be strict and not do such a thing. Don't take with the spoon out. Don't take the fly out with the spoon.
Or somehow?
Oh, so what do? What does Alter Rebbe say? Alter Rebbe says you should pour it out. Take it and pour out until the fly goes out. How does that solve the problem? Why is that not called separating? You're also separating. When you're pouring out the fly, so you're taking out the fly from the soup. Why is that better?
There's the bell.
You're dumping some of the soup out, but it's the same, like pretty much how just a drop is coming out. It's really, huh?
Yeah, it's just like science and the mass of the fly compared to the liquid. It'll be much, it's gonna really try and stay down. You're gonna need like a really big angle. A lot of liquid coming.
And probably some.
Okay.
It'll
Let's say
be-
not,
Like,
usually
nail
people
off.
don't use a lot of liquid.
Wow.
It's pull out a drop. And Alter Rebbe says it's okay. So why would that be okay?
Because of the third condition, like.
You're taking out, when you're pouring out the fly, So you're taking out the bad from the good. Why is that okay? Why is that better? If says, don't take with a spoon, because you're taking out the bad from the good. But then it's pour it out, and then it's okay. Why is that better? You're pouring out the fly. You always take out the bad from the good.
So maybe someone that said, it's like uncontaminated food, balance. Something.
So you want to say, because you're pouring out a lot of liquid, so
Yeah.
the liquid coming out of liquid, but that's, it never doesn't say if they pour out a lot of liquid.
Because it's your hand and the up and down extension of your hand. They are not even by,
Okay, yeah, I don't know if you mean what I'm going to say, but you sort of, you're close to what I want to say. What Alter Rebbe says. The Alter Rebbe explains like this, because there's a separate discussion over here. What are you doing when you have a cup and you're spilling out the fly? You're spilling out the fly out, or you want to pour out the soup and you want the spaghetti to stay inside, so you separate it. Right, when you take a pot and you pour out the soup and the spaghetti stays inside, you also separate it, right? The question is, what are you doing? In most cases of voided, most cases, 99.9, all situations of voided that we're discussing is, we know what you're doing. We know what the fact is, what's happening. The discussion is about the halacha. Here, there's a whole different discussion. What are you doing? We don't even know. There's a difference of opinion. What is the person doing over here? You get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm getting to, or doesn't make any sense what I just said? It doesn't,
Yeah,
right?
it's like it's the.
No. What am I getting to? When you are pouring something out, when I go like this, you know what you did. Very clear. I took this. Is it allowed enough? When I'm going like this, the question is, what am I doing? You get it?
I'm sure what is going
I
on.
know, you're pouring soup out or you're pouring the fly out. You want, and you're taking what you want.
So there's a difference of
So you're not
opinion. Do
sucking
we
up.
say, there's a difference of opinion. Do we say what's coming out is what you are separating?
Grabbing the
Yeah.
fly, you're taking the soup and
Yeah.
you're keeping what you want,
Exactly.
so it's different.
Exactly. So some opinions say that when you're pouring out and the fly is coming out, so you're taking the fly from the soup. Some opinions say, no, you're taking the soup from the fly, because this is in your hand. The Alter Rebbe says, what stays in your hand is what you're taking. So when you're pouring out the soup and the fly is coming out, you're not taking the fly out of the soup, you're taking the soup out of the fly. Because what stays in your hand is what you're taking. So now you're taking what you want. So now you're taking the good from the bad. Now that's permitted. But it's not a green light that you can do it without any conditions. You still need the conditions. It's still called separating, but it's called separating the good from the bad. And you're allowed to do it if it's close to the time of eating, huh?
Yeah, because you're allowed to separate that way.
Right, so that's if you're going to drink. That means if you have it falls into this bottle of soda, a fly, and you want to put away the soda, and you want to pour out the fly, you're not going to drink the soda. So now it's not so it's not close to the time of eating. Then you're not allowed. So you have to drink from it.
So then also with the flying soup, like notice that before, like the meal or something, then you have to wait until that part, or is it close to the time of eating?
So we
Like,
explained,
consider-
what is the definition of close to the eating? Remembrance, what's called close to the time of eating?
Time of preparation.
Whatever time you need before the meal to prepare for the entire meal, including desserts, is called close to the time of eating. But when
It
you
goes
want to,
before shul though.
Right.
That.
but if you have a pound of soup,
Notice before shul.
then you can't.
Yeah.
You have a pound of soup you want to put away. There's a fly in there, so you want to do that, go like that. And you take the good from the bad. But you're putting it away, you're not eating it. You don't have so much machilo, then you can't do it. Yeah.
Does intention matter? Like if you intended to eat some right away, but like a baby wakes up and is crying, you have to go attend to that. And like, does
Intention is
it,
what matters. At the time that you did it, you intended truthfully to eat from it, that was your plan. The fact that you did it later is not a problem. Because at the time they're doing the act is what's important.
My question was gonna be like for like the teeth, like moving teeth, could use a spoon because you would drink that little bit of teeth. It's not disgusting. Like from that. If I were to remove the tea bag with a spoon with a little bit of.
Well, okay,
liquid,
so a different question.
But
Could you take a spoon and take out the tea bag from the tea? Is that called separating? Taking out the tea bag from the tea is not separating. The tea bag in itself is not viewed as a mixture because it's a large item. You said before you have a matzo ball and a soup. It's not called separating. It's not viewed as a mixture. So taking out the tea bag from the tea is not the issue. The issue is when you pull out the tea bag, and usually you pull it out, what happens is you pull it out and it drips. Now the water's straining out of the strainer, tea bag. That's separating. That's an issue. That's why many people will use a spoon. When they use a spoon, they solve the issue.
The tea with the tea bag isn't separating because
The tea with the tea bag, because it's a large item.
Large.
Being that it's a large, the definition is two different items mixed together, means it has to be mixed in a way where it's perceived as a mixture, not like
the
separate
matzo
items.
ball-
Huh?
Like the matzo ball with the
Right, it's not viewed as a mixture, it's viewed as two separate items. I have, look at the table there. Look, if two slots next to each other. I wanna put this away, I wanna take it, whatever. Is this called separating? It's not viewed as a mixture, because it's two. If it was a lot, it could be. But if it's like the way it's like this, it's not viewed as a mixture. So you have multiple situations. Here you have a situation of liquid and solid. Because it's a big solid item in liquid, it's not viewed as a mixture. When you have spaghetti, small pieces of vegetables mixed into the soup, then it is viewed as a mixture. But when it's a large item inside liquid, it's not viewed as a mixture. Any other questions?
my sister, when she makes her soup. She has this habit of like doing it in bags. So she has this a bag. So like, it was like. I have a-
Okay, that you put
And
the
then-
chicken,
So then the chicken, so then, yeah, so we separate the chicken, like chicken bag and the vegetable bag. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, like go through them.
then you throw it out.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
My question is that like separating the bag from the water.
Or the liquid drains and now.
And then
the
the-
bag
yeah.
is being drained.
So when you lift it up, you should be strict, there's different opinions, it's not so clear, when you lift it up, now the liquid is draining out. It is an issue. It's better not to take, I have to look it up to give you more an accurate answer.
Why couldn't you
But-
just leave the bag?
Best thing is to just leave it there, don't take it out on Shabbos. Because once you take it out, the liquid starts draining out. Unless you take it with a spoon, like the tea bag, the same idea. It's the same idea like the tea bag.
Ginormous ladle thing,
Halachically,
and it's a big pot.
right. Halachically, this probably it's not a major issue. If you do it quickly without intention to drain out the liquid, quickly pull it out, it should be okay. But I believe there are stricter opinions, like with the tea bag, same idea. Same idea, because when it's part of the tea bag, it's not your intention that the liquid should drain out, but liquid is draining out. So it's best to be strict and take it out. That'll be the best thing. You take it out quickly. Or I mean, take it, or better take it out with a spoon, actually. But so we don't.
And then